Hey people, it's Niles talking. Now, I would like to thank a YouTube channel called Runaway Slave 2.0 because when he was talking about, in one of his videos about fake white heroes, he talked about Rocky, a boxer out of Philadelphia. He said, they made a statue of Rocky in 1982 and he wasn't even real, but actual black boxers who were heroes and gave her the bottom and worked their way to the top didn't get any recognition for decades until after they're dead. And one of them he mentioned was Bernard Hopkins, who was a great fighter even at 48 years old, which was quite frankly incredible. When you consider the athletes, most of them, their career is over by 30, and to have a boxer at 40 plus is quite frankly astonishing. So the source I'm using is, and I just want to say this, we don't have to wait for the white establishment to recognize black people as being successful. In fact, it's kind of a disrespect to be acknowledged by the the white establishment. We don't need to have that acknowledgement. So here is, the article I'm using is BleacherReport.com. Bernard Hopkins, is he the best fighter of his generation? On March 9th, Bernard Hopkins will attempt to break his own record of being boxing's oldest world champion when he challenges IBF light heavyweight belt boxer Tavoris Cloud. While many still question Hopkins' desire to continue fighting at age 47, his longevity is impressive. Dissenters will point to the fact that Hopkins' last two fights have been uninspiring. In October of 2011, Hopkins' 5-2-6-2-32 KO was forced to abandon his fight against Chad Dawson in round 2 after tumbling to the canvas and suffering a shoulder injury. In the subsequent rematch, Hopkins was soundly beaten in a fight where he couldn't muster significant offensive outbursts. That said, Hopkins isn't far removed from two compelling fights against Jean Pascal. In two bouts with Pascal, second of which resulted in Hopkins becoming boxing's oldest world champion, Hopkins was aggressive and endeared himself to a hostile crowd. Hopkins also defied logic by besting an athletically gifted fighter in his prime. And I want to relate this to one of the other videos I did on a little-known boxing champion or kickboxing champion, Manson Gibson. He went up against Thai kickboxing champions and defeated them. And he didn't train in Muay Thai. Let it be known that when a black man trains hard enough, he can defeat many others in their field, despite the fact that they train longer and harder, at least on paper. That's how great these black men are. And how much they rise above the odds despite all the roadblocks in their way. So given his sustained excellence and multitude of accomplishments, is Hopkins the best fighter of his generation? To Hopkins' credit, he has fought so well for so long that his resume transcends a single generation of contenders and champions. Whereas Jean Pascal, Kelly Pavlik, or Chad Dawson, Hopkins has made an admirable late career of educating and testing younger and supposedly fresher fighters. Hopkins' accomplishments rival boxing all-time greats per BoxRec.com's encyclopedia. Held the Ring World Middleweight title 2002 to 2005, a World Light Heavyweight title 2006 to 2008, and 2011 to 2012. 2001 Fight of the Year as determined by the Boxing Writers Association of America (BWAA), the Ring and Boxing World Hall of Fame. Record for most middleweight title defenses, 20, making him the longest reigning middleweight champion in boxing history, surpassing the likes of Ray Robinson, Carlos Monzon, and Marvin Hagler. Oldest fighter to hold the undisputed middleweight and light heavyweight title, surpassing Archie Moore for the latter honor. Oldest ever world champion, a distinction formerly held by George Foreman. Other than concrete statistics, Hopkins also holds defining wins in major fights over Felix Trinidad in TKO 12 in 2001, and Oscar De La Hoya KO 9 in 2004. His 2006 victory over Antonio Tarver to claim his lineal light heavyweight title was also another clinical performance. However, when considering Hopkins' career, there is a difference between being the best middleweight of his era and one of the greatest 160-pounders ever, and being the greatest of his generation. In fact, both Roy Jones Jr. and Evander Holyfield is they claim as greater fighters than Hopkins. Of course, this is not meant to denigrate what Hopkins has accomplished during his outstanding career. Rather, it points to the contrast one can make between Hopkins' polarizing fighting styles compared to Jones and Holyfield's more appealing je ne sais quoi qualities. I don't understand French. At 50 and 43 respectively, Holyfield 44-10-2, 29 KO, and Jones 56-8, 40 KO essentially fall into the same generational category as Hopkins. While the career arcs did not necessarily peak and ebb in unison, all three at various times were among the best in the sport during the 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s. Jones is a four-division champion and ranks as one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. Despite starting his career south of 160 pounds, Jones eventually captured the WA heavyweight title as one untouchable as a champion until running into Antonio Tarver in 2003. Earlier career wins over Hopkins and James Toney were a strong indicator of how great and gifted Jones was. More than world titles, records, and statistics, Jones' recognition as the best pound-for-pound fighter during the 90s into 2000 was what separates him from Hopkins. Among the more subjective accolades, Jones was twice named Fighter of the Year, 1994 and 2003, and was voted Fighter of the Decade for the 90s by the Boxing Writers Association of America. Simply put, at his peaks, Jones' blend of athleticism, speed, boxing acumen, and power was nearly mythical. Similar to Jones, Holyfield's career is not short of accolades. A two-weight champion, Holyfield infused relevance into the cruiserweight division by becoming the undisputed champion at 200 pounds. Holyfield, however, will always be remembered for his remarkable career as an undersized heavyweight. Holyfield remains the only four-time heavyweight champion, a remarkable feat considering the division's storied history. Just as significant are Holyfield's Free Ring and BWA Fighter of the Year awards, 87, 96, and 97, 1990, 96, and 97. He also garnered Fighter of the Year 1992 versus Riddick Bowe, Round of the Year 1992, Round 10 versus Bowe, Upset of the Year 1996 versus Mike Tyson, and Event of the Year 1997 versus Tyson from the Ring per BoxRec.com encyclopedia. These distinctions, coupled with memories of Holyfield's trilogy against Riddick Bowe, his stoppage of Mike Tyson, his logic-defying displays of heart and resilience, elevate Holyfield above someone as accomplished as Hopkins. In opting to place Jones and Holyfield above Hopkins on the mythical list of greatness, the decision bolts down to qualities that are difficult to quantify. Holyfield's unparalleled courage and will to win, and Jones' unorthodox magnificence. Bernard Hopkins' legacy is secure. He'll be enshrined in Canas Tota 5 years after he retires, and deservedly so. Hopkins has certainly outlasted Holyfield and Jones while also providing his own iconic moments. His win over Trinidad, his body shot against De La Hoya, and his between-round push-ups against John Pascal. But at the same time, his style remains polarizing, and both fans and pundits consistently find it frustrating. Granted, Hopkins is a master defensive fighter and ring tactician. However, it is unlikely that he'll be remembered as fondly as Holyfield or Jones. Regardless of how one feels about Hopkins, his at times maddening fighting style should not overshadow his tremendous career. Hopkins has been an outstanding fighter, and he deserves to be remembered and still seen as such. I hope you enjoyed that. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.